Hello, everyone. Sorry we are late, but thank you so much for being patient with us. As always, we are the Melanated Council. We stream to you Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. is Pacific Standard Time, and wherever you are in the world, if you see me as I am live, then that's the time that we stream. So, of course, thank you again for joining us. And as always, like, subscribe, and enjoy the show. Yeah, so today we have a pretty awesome episode. We're going to be talking about, I know the episode says the sounds of blackness, but it'll be like kind of more global, more cultural. Like sounds that you hear from like around the world. We'll be talking about reggae, Afro beats, African American music, of course, African music, and just music that we hear from Black people anywhere in the world. And as always, comments, you're more than welcome to join. But yeah, if you're familiar with us, you know that we usually start out with sort of just talking about our weekends. I'm usually joined with Ron and Toby. They'll be joining sooner. I mean, they'll be joining a little bit later, or sooner rather than later. So right now I'm just holding it down. So yeah, I'm going to, I guess just get us started and talk about, I don't know, what's been going on with me. Well, I guess like something that's going to be like a little bit personal, but whatever, I'll share. It's fine. My therapist has been really proud of me, which is awkward. I mean, it's good, but like, I don't know. He thinks I'm making progress, where I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I'm just sort of doing what he tells me to do. One of the things he's telling me to do is like, I need to go out every weekend or, once a week. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I do go out. But usually my definition of going out is like going to a coffee shop on like Saturday or Sunday mornings and like doing some work. And he's like, no, you got to do something that's, more fun. I'm like, but I don't know, working on my personal projects is fun to me. But when I think back on it, it makes me feel and also sound low-key nerdy. And I sort of see where he's going with that. Like we make time in our schedules for like, working, not just like our day job, our 9 to 5, or, whatever job that you may have. We just also just kind of, carve out time for working on our personal things and, helping out family or helping out friends and stuff like that. We never really take the time out to work on like, carving out time for actual like fun. I don't know, like maybe I sound like a boring loser, but usually like if like a friend invites me to something, then I will just, may or may not go. And then there are other times when, it's like, okay, let me actually like go out and be amongst the people who are not also working. But more on that later. I do have to introduce this absolutely amazing person. You know him, you love him, you can't live without him. And if you try to live without him, he will come and find you and force you to live with him. He might be in the village, hidden in the sound, but he's not so hidden. Ladies and gents, I'm welcoming to the stream Toby.
Thank you very much. Man, I'm gonna have to be careful with that one. If you don't live with him / want to live with him, he might force you. That's a lawsuit.
Yeah.
But
so
no, but thank
Toby, I was actually glad I was able to kind of guess your name because it only said like from what I can see, like
Oh,
before adding him, it just said village hidden in the, and I was like, I don't know what it cause like sound,
ah,
right? There
that's
was a
beautiful.
village hidden in the
Oh my God,
sound.
you're actually amazing for that too. Because I just assumed like I forgot that you don't see the whole entire thing because this is definitely a longer name. Um, awesome, and thank
Yeah.
you. Hello to our. I'm trying to look at the chat because I know I see there's someone watching. Someone
Right,
on
yeah.
YouTube. Someone's watching on YouTube, and someone's watching on.
On Twitch, but yeah, we don't know who. But of course, like you're more than welcome to just chill and watch us. You don't have to comment unless you're comfortable. No pressure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I felt so proud of myself because I was like advertising the day. Like for once, it was like the day before, and I was like, Instagram is always the hardest. I feel like for me to post on, but Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, I forgot, but whatever.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I gotta share on Twitter.
yeah, I barely be using that. So, but I was like, I got all this, which was great. And so, and even on Instagram, like 10 minutes before the show started, right before I got caught up in this conversation, I was just like, let me post this. So I felt so good. I was like, I'm going to come on and I'm going to be relatively early. I was like, when I saw Ron's message, I was like, I might even be able to start, but I had gotten caught up as I told my lovely co-hosts. I had gotten caught
Mhm.
up the conversation because one of my neighbors knocked on my
Yeah.
door. Um, a
Yeah. Sorry, I just realized like a great name. I was trying to figure out like a name for like the longest, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about Buffalo Soldier L? I was thinking of like it just came to me. I was like Bad Gal L. Like I feel like that's perfect.
yeah, go. Yes, that honestly, there's so many options. Like, um, Buffalo Soldier works. Yeah, because I was trying to. I mean, it's one of those things where my music
Oh, yeah.
literacy can sometimes be a little. I just heard, but not for the first time, but like I just heard literally Buffalo Soldier at some event this weekend. Okay, that's the cat doing cat things. My roommate's cat is. I think it was in the litter box. But it's just when you hear noises that are strange and you're like, I'm alone, it's a little disconcerting
Oh,
sometimes.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Because my roommate has been here, then been gone, then been here, then been gone. So she came back from her internship, which I already mentioned, then was in Morocco for like a week for her birthday, which was yesterday. So I went out
Okay, happy birthday.
with her and some other friends. And then she just left again today for a computing conference, like a conference for women in computing. Um, so it's definitely a lot of up and down or like back and forth. And so I've been the sole proprietor in some cases of this cat. Make sure I'm keeping this living creature alive. So, but yes, it is Tuesday, my dudes.
It's Tuesday, my dudes. I
Um,
love, I love it. Yeah,
so
we love y'all. Okay, so that's our YouTube viewer and that's our Twitch viewer. Perfect. Right on time.
easy. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, But that Buffalo Soldier song, yeah, like I didn't get the reference immediately when you posted it, but then I'm like, oh, of course, it's a really popular song that I've heard a bunch. But if you asked me what the name was, I couldn't tell you. And if you said Buffalo Soldier, I wouldn't be able to put the sound to it, which right now I can't put the sound to it, but it's fine.
Buffalo Soldier,
Oh,
dreadlock Rasta.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
I was trying
love
to figure out a name. I was like, I don't know. I feel like Buffalo Soldier is like so serious, and I didn't really want something serious, but
that
it is
serious.
my. I feel like it is like. I mean, the song is like really like chill and mellow, but like, I mean, the Buffalo Soldiers were like a real people, so
Okay.
like I don't want. I mean, I highly doubt anyone's just like, but for the off chance someone just randomly finds the stream and then I'm out here, I don't know, maybe saying things that are offensive accidentally. I was like, so I mean, I already spoke about, going like my therapist being proud of me. So like, who knows? Like, I could have offended a Jamaican somewhere. So like,
I'm
yeah,
dead.
Forehead protector with a musical note. So yeah.
Well, this is my contribution to this week.
Hey.
You can't buy happiness, but you can buy a violin, and that's pretty much the same thing. I don't remember if I wore it the first week that we had our stream, but I don't think I showed the shirt. So I was like, oh, let me wear this. It's also a long sleeve shirt, which is the first time I've worn a long sleeve literally since like probably May. So unfortunately getting to that point because it definitely is in the 40s like at night. Still like hits 60s and 70s at a high, but no, we're definitely at the point where we're hitting 40-degree weather at night. I'm like, oh, this is crispy. I was wearing t-shirts, don't get me wrong, over the weekend, but I had a jacket, like a light jacket. So yeah, it's definitely getting to that.
Is this L the song?
Is that the name of a song?
I don't know. I actually like looked it up. I was like, is this L the song? Is this love? Is this life? I don't know. But I don't know. Once Chad finishes eating his quiche, hopefully he can answer the question. But yeah, like right before you joined, Toby, I was talking about I don't know my week. Is this love for a song on Legend?
You said you were talking about your week, and then what was that about Legend? Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, is this love for a song on Legend? No, I don't know.
Unfortunately, like I said, my musical literacy ain't always super.
Yeah, mine's terrible too.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I
figured it was about Marley. So I was like, is this love? Oh, I know the song. Damn it. Like, I do. I got like I know like YouTube gets annoying when like you play a song. So like let me like
recommend it.
I'll definitely get back to that, but no, I do know that song. Like I don't know how the heck it goes though. Like man, oh god, it's gonna drive me crazy because I fucking know. Anyway, sorry. like that's like one of the annoying things when like and I'm sure Toby, like you understand this. Like if you're like a black person, a Caribbean person, or anything, and like somebody who's like not of that background, like says something, it's like, oh, what about this song? And they're like, oh shit, am I supposed to know every song? Like, oh my goodness, like when white people be like, oh, I out-blacked you because I knew this one song. It's like, you did not out-black me. You can't do that. Like, but it's like, I do fucking know that song. Like, it's driving me crazy because I fucking do. Anyway. But, yeah. So, yeah, sorry. Random tangent. But yeah, back to like what my therapist was saying. I'll make this like super quick. Yeah, he was just like proud of me for like some breakthroughs I've been making. I guess, actually like doing things. He's telling me to like, carve out some time for like actual fun. And I've been kind of like not doing that, I guess, because I kind of don't want to drink. But, you can still go out and have fun and not drink. And I'm not like not drinking because of like alcoholism or anything. It's just trying to like, watch my diet and, things I'm eating. And no, I don't think I'm fat or anything. It's just mainly because like, since I've been working out more and seeing a personal trainer, what I put into my body has like a more drastic effect on, some of the workouts that I do. Because like there are times when like if I've been eating like trash and then I go and work out, it's like I just feel super winded. So like I'm just trying to be like a little bit more mindful of that. But yeah. So he was happy that like, I went out with like a friend, and it was actually great, just like hanging out with my friend. I haven't seen her in a couple of months. And like she's just like looking great. Like she's looking kind of like she's looking fit, especially like in the upper body because like she's been doing like acrobatic kind of work, like stuff that you'd see in like circus performances and things like that. Like I don't know if you ever seen like those really like big cloths where like they go and like twirl themselves up into the cloth, like they wrap themselves up and then like
Oh, the
twirl.
cloth. Yeah, it's almost like yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. They're doing like all this type of acrobatic stuff within the cloth, around the cloth.
And then like they drop and then like the cloth like they tie themselves in the cloth and then they drop in a way that the cloth is still like still holding them.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so she showed me a video of herself doing that and I was like, holy shit, like no wonder you're like your upper body is like so strong because like you're literally lifting yourself up and tying yourself around you. And like, you know, like she's like she looks great. Like I think the muscles on her look great personally.
Mm.
And yeah. So like it was just cool like seeing her and just catching up with her. Um I saw Gil, you know, Gil Dormius, he comes on, you know, in the comments and he's been on the stream a few times. You know, like we were going to well I was saying hey let's go to like this coffee shop, it's like one of our favorite coffee shops, and he was like oh I was already on my way there anyway. I was like okay perfect. So so I would have saw him regardless of even saying anything. And so like we got together and we just like hung out, you know, like had coffee, had like some food, and we just like caught up, and it was you know it was just nice.
Yeah.
And like you know Gil's doing really well too. And I hadn't seen Gil like in person in a minute. So it was just good to see him in person as well. I think some poor woman to do that at his next party. Shut up. Let's go climb
Oh,
up in a cloth and stuff.
that's goodness. Live feats. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
but
God.
but yeah, so with that said, it was just great. It was like a great weekend of just like hanging out with friends and just seeing like how well they're doing, you know, like especially like friends who you haven't seen in like in a little while, you know. It's like okay.
Yeah.
Hasn't been like too long, but it's been like long enough that you see changes. Like it's like, oh wow, it's like holy shit, like, you know, my friend is like, you know, like she's just like looking great, you know, like she's doing great, and like you know just like great things just are just like happening for her, and I'm like really happy for her too, you know. And it was just nice. And like same thing with Gil, you know, Gil's like, you know, he's been working on some things, and you know like it just seems like, you know, like it's just great to see my friends going in a positive direction. So like it was a really nice weekend for me. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's actually really cool. And Gil, if you're listening, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear all these good things coming down your way. That's really nice though, because I haven't like met up with anyone. Like, I mean, I already knew Mish personally. That's kind of how Mish came on, like finding the channel. But like, I haven't sort of met up with anyone who I've known from this environment, even outside of our stream when it came to the greater Yang Gang or Humanity Forward movement stuff. Um, mm, Outside of people who I met because of like physical organizing, there was no one I met in the sort of Twitterverse, Internetverse that then we ended up meeting in person. That would be cool because I think President Manny lives in Massachusetts, not that far from me either. And I'm like, oh, okay.
All right, true.
Dre in our actual McCoy group, I think he also lives in Massachusetts, and I've never met him. Of course, how could I not?
Yeah,
Plus, you're more senior than me, so maybe you're the senpai. I don't know. You
that's
stream.
true.
You have an actual. you have your own independent stream. It's okay. We can all build each other up. I love it. But sorry, like if you continue on your point. I didn't want to.
Oh no, I was just pretty much done. Like my therapist is just, you know, happy for me, and he just wants me to carve out time to actually like go and like have fun and like go out. So like I know it sounds like that doesn't sound like a hard thing to do, and you're right, it's not a hard thing to do, but like I tend to just kind of go out. You know, it's like if I just want to go out, I'll just leave and go somewhere. And then like I always forget about like inviting people. And then I have to think about like, and this is gonna sound weird too, but whatever. It's like also inviting like my women friends, you know, like my gal friends, and it's like it's not like I guess I just don't have like many.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay. Like, like I have some like sometimes they're like they're like a little bit far away or just like unavailable or like they might be dating somebody or like things like that. So it's like I never really like think to ask them. It's part of like my high functioning depression, like these stupid thoughts where like it's like, oh, maybe I just don't need to bother anyone and I just like kind of stay at home by myself or I just go out by myself. Because going out by myself, it's like easier. But
Mhm.
actually, like making the effort to ask a friend to go out, because it's like, I do want to go out, I do want to hang out with people, but I'd rather people ask me than me asking them. But I'm not like special. So, like, why should I? Why should I just sit on my throne and expect people to just ask to hang out with me? But it's more so just like, taking more initiative and making things happen rather than hoping that things will just happen to me, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. No,
Yeah.
that's good. And I I can relate a little bit where it's like I don't know, like I do invite people to go to things and like sometimes, but a lot of times I feel like I'd rather not like I don't know, reach out to people. Maybe they're busy, or maybe they not have to feel that like feeling of rejection, even if people don't want to go to something with you or um like I don't know. This is like a slightly related, but like I don't like to call people really, for instance, unless it's like a clearly it's like okay, we're about to meet up. Are you here?
Right, right, right.
Up something. But just in general, just to call someone, because I'm like, I don't know, people are doing their things. Why would someone want to necessarily take the time out of all the things they're doing to actually speak and talk? And so sometimes I'd rather just go to things myself, um, and then maybe meet up with people versus like actually like inviting people or assuming that people want to hang out. But I think I've also kind of alleviated some of that to. I don't know. It's weird because I definitely have invited people to things a lot. Even back when I was early in college, I would go to events and be like, mass inviting people, not events that I threw, but just things that I thought people might want to go to. Like, there was a big Caribbean event. The Caribbean Student Council had this Christmas bashment. I had no idea what a bashment was at the time, but they did like their it was like right before finals week. They would do like their party on like a Friday night in the student ballroom. And so I would just remember inviting a bunch of people out because I loved, just seeing people have a good time. But at the same time, I wouldn't necessarily hit someone up just to directly be like, "Hey, do you want to go hang out, you and me?" Um,
Right.
it depends, right? It just kind of depends. Now it's a little, I don't know. I still kind of have that anxiety a little bit, but I, at the same time, can be very sociable and I've hosted things. So, I kind of push through it. I feel it at times. Um, I'm sitting on my throne.
Yeah, I know, I put that up. Yeah, so why won't anyone hang out with me? And it's like, yeah, I guess I have to just, I don't know, make myself more hang outable,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. And also, like, not always like cancel or say no to things, like try to say yes to things more,
Mm,
So
I
that's
can get
like, but then again, it's like also trying to find things to do. Because it's not like, I mean, yeah, there are like things to do, but then it's like, okay, who can I invite to who would want to do this?
Mm,
And it's like, okay, now I got to go figure that out. And because, like, you know, uh, if you have like so many different like interests and like, I don't know, like, let's say there's like a play and my friend is like performing in the play. In fact, that's actually a thing that's going to be happening in a few days. It's like, okay, who would want to go all the way down to Miami to watch my friend in a play? Like, I would be more than happy to just go by myself to support my friend, but it would be a lot more fun if I went with somebody else. Like,
yeah.
and then like also finding like the time, like, because sometimes people, um, what's it like have like engagements or don't feel like making the drive out there or they don't want to spend the money to buy the ticket and like like whatever the hell. So you could just hang out, bring people into your life without feeling like you have to perform for them. I don't think I'm necessarily like trying to like perform for them. It's just more so like um
Snap.
yeah, I don't know. Like I don't really yeah, I guess like yeah, you could just like but I do want to like go out too. Or do you mean like just hang out, like just have people in my house? Or just like hang out? I mean that's something too. But but hold on to that thought, Chad, or refine the question, please. If I'm misunderstanding, that is. Um, I do have someone to introduce to the stream. You also know him. You also love him. You also can't live without him. But you can't live without him more than Toby. That's a very important distinction.
Wait, the negative is
Because like this one won't just barge into your life and force you to live with him. He will respect your boundaries at least. And that's why it'll make you want him to live with you more. That's precisely why. So with that said, I am happy. Toby and I are happy to introduce the third person who makes up our lovely Triforce. He is the Triforce of power.
Yep.
It is Ron. Give a round of
Let's go.
Yeah.
I like that.
Welcome to the show.
Woo, woo.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey,
everybody.
it's great to see
Good to
you.
see you.
Man. Yes,
I like
it's great
the color.
to see you. Thank you. Thank you.
Orange and black, is that?
No, it's actually red and black.
It's red?
That's red. Oh, snap.
Yeah. It just looks wrong. It just looks orange. Hey Mish, I see you.
Yeah.
Number one mod on Twitch. I don't care what nobody says. Hands down, number one mod on Twitch.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
There's no disagreement there.
Yeah. I was.
Sure.
I'm just saying, like,
that's
man.
true, Chad.
No, that's pretty big. Like a lot of people where it's like you don't see them that often. Where it's just, hey, let's just find a time to hang out. Maybe there is an after thing that we can go to together. But oftentimes it was just, let's just hang out. And that's not something that I do regularly with a lot of friends, to be honest. But it was something when like the pandemic hit or like other things and you realize you weren't going to see people again for a while, or people went off to college or they finished college, and just hanging out was the thing because you're not going to see these people again for a while. So that was like a thing where I kind of was like, yeah, we can just be adults, like just as adults talking and just sharing in the similar woes. That was just like a huge thing because it's so different from college, where I don't even know, college was weird. Like you're always around each other, you're just talking about who knows it. But now it's even one good friend of mine. She was saying how the quality, like she just caught up with some of her friends from college. In fact, she was one of the people I was thinking about where we didn't used to see each other that often. But she was saying like how when she saw her friends again from college recently, and she graduated like 3 years ago, it was more of like, how, what kind of jobs are you looking for? What kind of things are you trying to do career wise, or like apartments versus how's your sex life? Which, hey, talk about your sex life, talk about sex, positive, healthy stuff. But like, it's just very different. And don't get me wrong, you can still talk about that stuff when you get older as an adult. And when I say older, I mean like not even old, but like 30s. Sorry, guys, but I'm still 27, so my head.
What, old like 30?
No, that's not old.
Okay, I was about to say. I was like, what are you, 12, Toby?
No, it's 12.
I was going to jack Toby up. I don't care.
That would be a problem.
I was going to jack you up, Toby. Like,
no. A lot of my good friends are in their 30s, and they couldn't even tell, honestly. So Kubo's into dust.
As soon as you blow, all of this fades away.
Just walk into the sea.
Also, hilarious because anyway, my mind is still blown. The facts. I'm not gonna say your age live, but you couldn't be you could be my age, and the fact that you're not is completely mind blowing, Amara. Great to see you, by the way.
Yeah, it's great to see you, Amira. And it's true. Toby's absolutely
Right?
correct. Like if you ever, it's impossible to guess Amira's age, and I still am convinced that she's lying to us. I think it's all part of like her marketing ploy, and it's a smart marketing ploy. I'm not going to deny that. But I know she's not lying. I just like to pretend that she is to make
There
me
you go.
feel better.
Oh man. So
Of course.
I know you were talking a bit, Al.
No, I'm pretty done. I feel like I just kind of made myself look like a loser. But a loser that's improving. A loser that knows what to do next. So that is fine.
Forward trajectory always.
It's like I need help making friends and leaving the house. My therapist is proud of me for making friends and leaving the house. Which is
Small wins.
Exactly. That's true.
True.
Celebrate the small wins. That's like a very, very important thing that's underrated a lot of times.
Absolutely. So
I agree.
Yeah. So I am done sharing before I overshare. So which I already did, or over double OT share.
Listen, the stream is for anything and everything. As long as you're comfortable, we're comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, Toby, how was your weekend life since we last saw you?
So God, it was just great for this month, but I was at a lot of concerts actually.
Yeah, I saw that.
So ranging from Afro beats to soca. Omale was the Afrobeat artist. Kes was the soca artist. There was Little Nas X Sunday.
Right, yeah.
Which unfortunately, I got there right at the end because I'm so used to these artists showing up so many hours late with like all these opening acts and DJs, but apparently that didn't happen. He was on stage performing, dancing his butt off. And so when I got there, the security guy was like, this is like over. And I was like, what? I was like, I thought this would be like opening acts. He's like, no, there were no opening acts. But the guy was like, but it's fine. Like he let me in, did this pat down, scan, whatever. I went in. And right when he came on stage, he performed Industry Baby. So most likely, yeah, he must have just finished his last songs. It's sad because I would have wanted. I don't even know that many of his songs. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't been like a huge diehard fan of his, but Old Town Road, man, like that's how he started, or at least in terms of actual fame. So I was really sad to miss that. But it was fun concerts. I think Saturday. I don't remember exactly what I did. I went to this Caribbean rum and food festival.
Okay.
Gave me the shirt. So, it was the Caribbean. Was it the Authentic Caribbean Foundation?
Nice.
Yeah, it was a nice thing. I haven't worn the shirt yet, but I'll find a great time to wear it because it was a nice little thing. They gave you drink tickets. I technically got into the event for free because I was trying to go to a Jamaican Independence Day event back in
August.
Yes, it was really early August, and it was like a thing at a hotel. It was supposed to be a rooftop, but I missed it because I don't know what happened. But it was a Thursday. I fell asleep at like 2:30 p.m. I did work stuff in the morning and afternoon, so I thought, okay, there's no meeting scheduled. I'm just gonna like lie down for a second because I was just so tired and exhausted from all the crazy events, from like the sewage and all the stuff that had been happening. I hadn't been getting sleep properly. It was just a lot. So I like went to sleep. I think I had gotten my apartment fully fixed and cleaned that Tuesday, and then Wednesday, whatever, was normal. Thursday, I sleep at like 2:30. Wake up, it's like 7. The event was supposed to be from 6 to 10. I fall back asleep. I wake up again. It's like 11. I'm like, crap. And then I think at that point, maybe I slept again and woke up at like 1 or 2. And so it was a done deal. Like that day, so long story short, I tried getting a refund from these people. They didn't give a refund, but they were like, we can give you an event for an upcoming. And I was like, well, I am interested in this Caribbean Rum and Food Festival. And the funny thing is the price was actually more expensive technically for the event they gave me the ticket for. So it kind of worked out. Nice. And I'm actually glad that they honored that because a lot of people just say, screw you, you missed it. I was going to go to my bank. I tried going to my bank and doing a dispute, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't, depending on the circumstance of the event or thing that you bought and that you weren't able to attend or blah, blah. So I was happy though with these organizers because I was like, that's solid of y'all that you did that. So I got that shirt. I got like multiple drink tickets for so much rum punch, Jamaican rum punch. Um, I had I did buy extra food that they were selling, but it was like a $10 plate of like rice and peas, some fried chicken, some plantains, and maybe something else. So I felt like that was pretty worth it for $10, no tax, because it's just cash up. So had a good time. And then I think I went to this game night for this Boston young black professionals. I showed up at the end because I was coming from the Rum Food Fest and I did not want to drive impaired. So I gave myself more time to be sober. And it was also a far drive. So I got there at the end, saw good friends of mine. And then we just kind of hung out. It was like somewhere south of Boston. So like there was a place nearby that we just had like a little impromptu party, which is so funny because like it was it's a quick finesse my way to a more expensive event. Honestly, like I wouldn't try it because you could just end up not getting the waiver on it and then you get screwed. But if you know that there's a more expensive event, purposefully buy the cheaper one, don't go and get a credit for a later event. Mixed results. Don't at me, don't come at me if it doesn't work out. But the parking lot thing was interesting. It was just like this place and there's a place in Boston. A friend of ours, he's white, and his grandfather owns like this market that has different locations in Mass. So I kind of joke that it's new money or it's old money helping us out because his family literally owns like this chain of stores. And so we had like a parking lot party at one of these stores back in November 2020. It was cold. It was very cold, but we had like a bonfire and stuff. And so we've been trying to have a sequel to the parking lot party, but we kind of never were able to make it work. And so we were way south of Boston, Westwood, like probably 40 minutes south. Okay, way south, but pretty out there for most people. So the Westwood location, since we were already so close to it, we were like, hey, why don't we just do a parking lot thing in this place, this branch of the store? So we did, and it was chill. We had fun. It was free. And then that was that. So that was like a pretty cool, like 2-year, like in the making, very impromptu type thing, and just fun to like see how spontaneous we could be. Just have a good time and connect again, especially before it gets too cold and no one wants to come out ever again. So that was pretty much me. One thing I will mention is that this upcoming weekend, there's a EDM. This is related to last week's topic, but there is like this EDM house music. I guess it's an artist named Sick Ick. Sick Ick. It's like one word. I think they're Arabic. But there's some like house EDM artists, and they're doing something in Boston. I would never have thought of it, but a friend of mine who's black was watching my stories when I was posting about last week's stream, and she's like a Haitian American, and she posted and was like, I love EDM actually, I love whatever. And so she was like, I'm actually going to this because she doesn't live here, she lives a few states away, but still like within New England. So she was like, actually, would you want to go to this? And I was like, I would love to go. I haven't seen it in like over 3 years probably, and I haven't been to a real like EDM rave event in a very long time, probably not since 2014. When I went to one in Baltimore. Actually saw my friend who came on the stream or who was on chat last week. We saw each other at that rave in Baltimore very randomly, which was so hilarious. But any case, I'm done with that. I can't wait to see what's gonna come up and just kind of, live life as I can. Hopefully I'll have a car by next week or 2 weeks. Probably
good.
2 weeks from now is more likely, but hopefully I'll decide on what car I want by next week. So I used to hang out in parking lots.
We're high school doing.
I'm dead.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Mish being a high school delinquent.
Yeah, I'm like.
I mean, they definitely have the hair for it though, but I don't. Other than that, I don't think they. Personality-wise, I don't know. Like, I could see Mish as like the one who just is just like very quiet and just like nods their head along, but doesn't really believe or is really listening to anything that the other delinquents are saying, and they just sort of like just keep Mish around.
Right. Right. Oh man. There you go, Mish. That's you. That is you.
Yeah, Ron, your I guess process of elimination, and Toby just I guess eliminated himself, so it's your turn.
So you're
he
good.
just
You're good.
he just rage quit.
Pretty much. He did. He just said, you know what? He was done with this ring. Not really. No, it's not that.
Right.
No, so let's see. Okay, I'm good. All right. So wow, what happened from last week, Tuesday? Wednesday, you was a I'm gonna say cap. I'm saying nah, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Misha's capping.
I don't believe it.
I don't know. They really cleaned up their act though. Like they're very clean.
I don't believe it. I don't believe Mish was a troublemaker. I don't believe it at all. I don't. But we can talk about that one later. So anyway, so Wednesday had practice. Thursday, my son had his JV game. And his team won. So
nice.
Then was finally able to go to the varsity game and watch them win. Saturday, we had our game. Of course, if you guys don't know, I coach Rocket Football League. Rocket football. I coach for a Rocket football team, and so the team that we played last week, Saturday, they've always had a very good Rocket football team. Always had a very good. We kept them scoreless until late in the fourth quarter. They scored a touchdown with like 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So for us to keep a team like that scoreless until at the very end, I say it was a good job. I said they did a very good job. And even then, I got a little choked up because I'm like, man, that was a game we could have won, but everything else. But at the same time, like, you guys do not hang this game over your head. Don't you dare do it. We lost to a very good team. Very good.
Okay.
We lost to a very good team. You guys came out. You guys played your hearts out. Like offensive line, we'll work on you guys next week to get you guys up to shape. Defense was phenomenal. Sure, we missed a few tackles and whatnot. And had we tackled properly, we probably would have still been scored. We would have been 0-0. It would have been 0-0 the whole game. So I'm like, I'm okay with that. Like, that's a loss I'm okay with because we lost to a good team. And so there were a lot of people were a little bit bummed out. Like, don't be bummed out. You guys lost to a really good team. Like, you guys told me that this team has always been good, and to keep them scoreless up until the last 5 minutes of the game, like, that's good. That's good. I don't care what nobody says. Y'all did good. Like, let's come back Monday. Let's ready to go. Get ready to go. Then let's see, had a church picnic. From there, came home from after the church picnic, I found out that my youngest brother was in the hospital. He got stabbed. So didn't get a chance to see him Saturday. Yeah. Didn't get a chance to see him Saturday. So Sunday, I went up and spent like 3 hours with him. Just talking to him, see where he's at, see how he's been doing and everything else. So he was when I saw him Sunday, he was in a better condition than what he was Saturday. So that was a big, huge relief. And so I gave him my phone number. I told him, like, whenever he gets out the hospital, to give me a call to let me know he's out. And we'll talk some more. And this is down the third. And so hopefully because I think he told me he'll either get out today or tomorrow, depending upon how the stitches look, depending upon his pain, how he's still dealing with the pain, depending upon how he's healing. He might stay in there for like another day just for observation. and whatnot. But for the most part, he should be in good condition and good health. So I'm like, it could have been a whole lot worse. Could have been a whole lot worse. Like, what you mean? I'm like, dude, cats nowadays, especially in Grand Rapids, like cats nowadays, they are either going to shoot you to kill you, or they're going to stab you to kill you. Like, there's no more fist fight no more. Those days are gone. Like, the last era of fist fighting was when I was in high school. That was back in 2006, 2007. That's when I graduated. Like, we was able to fist fight, and call it a good day, and not worried about somebody coming back and shooting us. But at the same time, starting in 2007, moving forward, a lot of people they started buying like these little throwaway guns, and depending upon who they lost to, they'll go find that person, shoot, kill them, and then rather than be a person to take responsibility, they'll go somewhere and commit suicide. Like, what was the point? Like, you went ahead and robbed this person's life to only go and rob yours. Like, that solves nothing. Like, this stupid. That's stupid. Why would you do that, knowing that you're going to commit suicide? So I was like, and I thought, like, kids, they're like, cats, they're not doing that no more. They're not fist fighting no more. Like, so you got to be careful. You got to be a whole heck of a lot careful, because, dude, that could have ended totally different. He's like, man, I know. And he's like, but dude shouldn't have put his hands on me. Like, I mean, I get that, but at the same time, you got to understand that he could have had a gun. He could have popped you right then and there. That would have been it. That would have been it. Soon as you swung and you hit the dude and square in his face, he could have turned around and blasted you. Then rather you be in a hospital, now we got to figure out funeral arrangements. And like, and plus, dude, you're only 24. You're only 24. You're only 24 with no kids. Like, come on. You're the youngest one out of all of us. You have no responsibilities other than take care of yourself. Like, dude, Like, dude, come on. You're only 24. Get better. Do better. He's like, I will. He's like, I will. Again, like, just naming all the positives that he has going on and everything else. I'm like, do what you got to do. Get yourself back on your feet. Like, this incident, let it brush off. The guy, he's in jail for attempted murder, so that's a good thing. He's not getting out. It's like, but at the same time, you have to focus on you. You have to take care of you. You have to do what you need to do to make sure you are in a better position to move forward. And if you keep doing the same old silly stuff, dumb stuff that got you in the hospital now, it could be a whole lot worse the next time. Heaven forbid, but still, just being real with you, it could be a whole lot worse. So he's like, okay. So we started watching football, started watching the news, started talking and laughing and all that other good stuff. And so I told him, like I said, like, give me a call when you get out, so at least I know that you're out. He's like, okay, I will. So that was that. Of course, I had practice yesterday, trying to get ready for his game on Saturday. So, it's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be fun. But that's pretty much been my week. That's pretty much been
nice.
Okay, well, that's what's up. I'm glad. I'm glad he's doing better. This was your brother or your cousin?
Oh, this is my brother.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
This is my youngest. This is my youngest brother.
Right.
This is my
yeah, only 24 too. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. I missed the connection to you. I was like, who's this person he was talking about? But okay, wow. Yeah, that's really, like, there's a kid in your community you were like mentoring, but I mean, yeah, your youngest brother, whoa.
Yeah.
Be a lot to, like, you're going to really be like, yo, you got to get your life, because you're going to be really concerned.
Oh, yeah. And even then, like, he's born on Christmas. He's a Christmas baby. So his golden birthday is on Christmas. So he'll be 25 this year. Yeah. Because when I went to go see him Sunday, he showed me where he got his stitches at. He told me he got like a total 17 stitches because he got stabbed like right where his belly button is at, like just like a few inches up. He
Ooh.
got stabbed there, and then like right off to the side, he got stabbed. Not even like probably like what 3 inches away.
Mm.
3 inches. That's where the other stab point was at. I'm like, bro, you are counting your blessings because like you better be lucky he didn't puncture anything major. You are super lucky he didn't puncture anything major. Dude, he's like, dude, I know. He was like, even then, when we were talking, he was like, but he's like, it still hurts to laugh because that muscle when it contracts when you're laughing, he said it hurts like a holy terror. He said it hurts bad. So yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Agree.
Yeah, true.
It's crazy.
Like your
Yeah,
intestines, like your bladder, I'm sure. Um, like, yeah, no, everything's just kind of there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm grateful that he's
So
still here.
Mm.
yeah, like I say, because he was in good when I saw him Sunday, he was in good spirits. He was in good spirits Sunday. And so it was pretty much, even then, he told me, like, out of all the people that he wanted to see to come up there, he was like, man, he said, just seeing you here, he's like, this pretty much been a highlight of my day so far. I'm like, oh,
Aw,
Good.
like,
that's
you
nice.
old knucklehead younger brother. Like, I love that. Like, that's okay. I'll take that. I'll take that. So hopefully he gets out soon, and
Mm.
hopefully he remembers to call me. And if he doesn't remember to call me, I will find him and I will have to brother and jack him up a little few times.
Yeah. Do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I'm glad he's in good spirits. I'm glad he's healing up because
Yes.
yeah, no, like family stress is always like just the biggest because it's like, my goodness,
Mm-hmm.
I yeah,
It's a different type of stress because you really can't get away from it. And
right,
and like you're so much more invested all the time. So it's like, oof.
right,
Yes.
and if you do get away from it, that's because of like it was just something that's just been going on for like decades, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
something absolutely like insane crazy. It's like there's nothing I can do. And like
Yeah.
it's just way past the point of nothing I can do. Like
Mm.
it's hard. It's hard. So
Yeah. Yeah. And even when I was talking to him in the hospital, my mom called. Well, she called me through Facebook Messenger. And, me and her were talking, and she was like, "Where are you at?" And so I showed him, and he was like, "Hey, mama, mind you, we got same dads, different moms. His mom passed away. Um, almost was like 3-4 years ago, and so
mm,
and before she called, I told him like, now if my mom calls, she gonna try to figure out what's going on. He was like, man, I know. He said, but then again, he said, don't take this the wrong way. He said, because my mom is gone, I'm gonna treat your mama like my mama. So that's both of our mamas. I'm like, she won't be worried sick about you knowing that you in the hospital, you got stabbed. He started laughing. He said, yeah, I know. And sure enough, she had this look of, oh my gosh, my baby is in the hospital, even though it's not my baby, but still, my baby's in the hospital. Like what happened? Are you okay? Is anything major happening? And what can we do to help you out? And just being mom. And so
mm-hmm,
he was like, "I'm good." He said, "Mom, I'm good. I'm good." He's like, "I hurt a little bit. I got little stitches and going on." He said, "But I'm good. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm okay." And she's like, if you need us to come up there and help you out, whatever the case may be, we'll make it work. Even if we got means, you get you from Grand Rapids and move you back down to Three Rivers, we can do so. And she said, you just make sure you get a hold of us and you let us know what you want to do. It's like, we're here for you. You don't got to be out here in the street struggling and all this other good stuff. Like, if you need help, if you need us, we're here. He said, I
mm-hmm.
know. He said, I know. He said, I appreciate it. He said, I love you. I thank you and everything. She's like, I know I love you too. She said, but still, you know, like, I want to see you like this again. I just want you to know that. She's like, I know. And so she was like, make sure you're taking care of. Like, I will. I will.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a good thing that he's still got your mom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
that's
what
good.
you
Yeah,
All
for
you
sure.
want to talk. Yeah. That's gonna be funny. Get a hold of our daddy. Like, hey, dad, I'm in the hospital.
Oh god.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun conversation. I'm like, I'm not having no parts of that, but like y'all two hash that out. Mm-mm. Nah, nope, not at all. Mm-mm.
But yeah, it's always odd how to like transition into the topic. Unless like was there anything else you guys wanted to say? I didn't want to cut you guys
Yes.
short. What's up?
No, you're good. You're good because I'm actually about to help you out.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I'm about to help you out. Okay, so y'all, if you guys been following along, we've been talking about music, things of music, and so with these two lovely people above me and whatnot, we decided to talk about, music from around the world, and especially when it's dealing with, cultures outside of the traditional, African American music culture. Pause, stop, rewind, stop, play. Here we go. I got to do this. It helps my brain. So, we're going to be talking about music that's outside of the traditional African American culture, meaning like music from Nigeria, music from Jamaica, all over, and basically just help us to find similarities, find differences. Because, like I told them, like I know nothing about Afrobeats. I know very, very, very little when it comes to dancehall. The closest thing I could probably get to in the Jamaican culture, yes, please do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're more than welcome.
No, please do. I think on YouTube you could be able to make clips.
Yeah, YouTube, you
I
can do
think,
clips. I noticed it a few
yes,
months ago. I was like, hey, okay, that's
Oh, true. That's true.
yes.
Yeah.
I noticed
So
this
if you're
is
on YouTube and you hear something spicy and funny, clip it. You
Yes,
have
please.
full permission. Clip it. Mish, you already know on Twitch. Clip it. Whatever. Clip it. So that's what we're talking about. Like I said, I know the closest thing dealing with the Jamaican culture is like reggae because of Bob Marley, his sons, and like a few other artists that came out of Jamaica. Like that's about it. Other than that, if you ask me about anything else dealing with Jamaican music, I know zero donuts. So that's why I got L up
Me.
here. It told me you gonna come in with the Afro beat, that spectrum, and we're gonna just talk about it. Because like I said, I know nothing about it, but I'm always curious because I've always heard Toby, you've always talked about Afro beat. Like, what is Afro beat? Like, what kind of music is it? Because it sounds dope. It sounds fire, sounds like, whatever. Yep, you know it. Post it to Twitter. Yep, you know
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, speaking of, I just literally retweeted the live that's going on right now on Twitter.
Right.
Yes. So, whichever one of you two wanna kick this thing off and have a little dance party, go for it. Because y'all about to help me out. Like for
Have a
real.
little bit. I mean, like, it would be awesome to be able to play the music, but YouTube
Yeah.
things like we're gonna be secretly trying to like smuggle the music or like or something. It's like we're playing a YouTube video on YouTube. Like, you really think we're in some underground like music promotion thing where it's like, oh, if you come in at exactly 1 hour into the stream, we're gonna start playing this song for like 10 seconds, and then that's how we're gonna make our like no. It's like, oh man, I love 10-second clips of songs. Like,
buried in 3-hour videos. I hate these copyright laws sometimes, and these tech giants with their shenanigans.
But yeah, I didn't actually know that Jamaica's still Lauryn Hill. She moved to Jamaica or something. I actually don't.
I always say I think Jamaica just took her back. Like, y'all silly Americans, nah, give us back Lauryn Hill. Like, y'all ain't know how to do
it. I think.
Go for it.
I mean, I was gonna try not to. And in one way, I kind of want to put on the spot, only because I think something that Al you kind of mentioned.
What did I mention? Are you just gonna make up something so I could start?
No. Actually, it's.
I'm kidding.
And actually, if you had your own flow, let me not like.
No, please do.
It was more that you mentioned something about how like reggae, which is definitely like kind of like when you think about the 1900s, especially like I want to say it was like the second half. I wish I can remember the chronology of Bob Marley, but like reggae music. You were saying how it kind of led into some of the Black American music as we know with hip hop and like the whole kind of DJ scene back then when things were really kind of becoming I don't want to say becoming to fruition, but essentially the birth of hip hop and everything. And I thought that was a really interesting angle to take because that shows how globally you have music in one area, the islands, coming into the US and kind of helping birth a huge Black American genre that influences quite a lot in terms of money and culture. So I thought that was a thing that I definitely wanted to hear more about, though I didn't know if that's quite where you wanted to start or whatever.
I definitely wanted to talk about that. Definitely at some point, but I can talk about it now. That's fine. So hip hop started, I want to say it was in the Bronx or Brooklyn in New York. It was, sorry, hip hop heads that are listening. It started in New York, and it was because of like this DJ named Kool Herc, I don't think he was born in Jamaica, but I believe his parents were Jamaican, and he brought like the influence of like the reggae sounds and everything into hip hop, and he wasn't the one who did like the double turntables. I don't think it was him. I think it was DJ like Grandmaster Flash. If I'm not, like there was like a really awesome hip hop show on Netflix called like The Breakdown or something, or the.
Oh, what you talking about? Do you know
what it was called? Like Nas helped produce it.
Yes, he did. It was called the what was it, the Get Down?
I think so. Like, was it like hip hop Netflix show? Sorry, guys. What was it? No. Yeah, the Get Down. It was called the Get Down. Okay. And it was fantastic. It was an absolutely fantastic. I'm sad that they canceled it. But yes, that's also like I knew about DJ Kool Herc and like the influence of reggae and the sounds of Jamaica that it had on the initial founding of hip hop. But I believe it was DJ Grandmaster Flash who was the one who kind of initiated like I think the 2 turntables and also the scratching, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so when so DJ Kool Herc, and of course Ron, correct me if I'm wrong, like he would kind of play in like these sort of like underground um, like clubs, like disco was on its way out because this was like the 70s. And this was like this sort of new sound. And, like when hip hop was starting, like the DJ was the main focus. The MC or the master of ceremonies was pretty much like someone, like they would rap on the beat and everything, but like they would always like, big up the DJ. Big ups is a Jamaican phrase. so they'd always just like big up the DJ. It's like, oh, and like back then there was always like the MC and the DJ, like there was Reverend Run and DM, like I know the Run DMC. I forgot why am I blank. Anyway, there was like Will the Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff. So a lot of these it would be like a DJ rap duo, like from like the beginning. So like that's sort of like kind of how that originated. But prior to DJ Cool Herc, if we were to go back to Jamaica, because this was the 70s, I want to say that his influence was most likely early dancehall. And I was just researching this today just so I could sound smart. Because I honestly didn't know like when dancehall even originated myself. So dancehall.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so dancehall came around like the late 70s. I want to say like around the 70s, late 70s. So I'd assume that, that's probably most likely where DJ Kool Herc probably got like a lot of his influence, I'm guessing. Sorry, I didn't even see this. Yeah, I'm just guessing. I'm just theorizing. I'm not entirely sure. So, like what we've mentioned before on the stream about like especially like how EDM and like techno and like these types of genres of music and like where do they fall under like the umbrella? Like we have what they call like roots reggae, and they have like dance hall, and like there's also like reggaeton, which is more like a Spanish reggae. But roots reggae, which is like what I would just consider reggae, I guess it's just more so like a traditional reggae. It's like the type of reggae that like Bob Marley sings, and like what's his name? What is his name? I don't even want to mess it up. So I love one of his songs. I want to say 1 second, sorry. Nope. Anyways, like he sings like this one song called like Rocky Road, I think, or like Roggy Road. 1 second.
Rocky.
I cannot believe that's not his name. Clinton Fear. I'm sorry. I'll probably mention it in the Discord later. My bad. But like he sings like a really awesome but like usually like what essentially roots reggae is like they usually talk about Jah, who is like Jehovah, religion, or they will talk more so about like revolution, politics, and things like that. Like pretty much like the songs that you would. now I want ice cream. I think it's called Raggy Road. Anyways, but it's a really dope song. I love it. But like it's more so like a reggae, like that kind of roots reggae. It's more so like mellow, but like it usually has like a message. Like pertaining to it. Like if you listen to pretty much any Bob Marley song, that would essentially be roots reggae. Dancehall is, like I guess it's not like you can't dance to roots reggae, but dancehall I'd say has like the most influence and relation to hip hop because of the type of lyrics that they probably share. Like both dance hall and like hip hop rap music, sing about like, like raunchiness. Like they have, it could kind of be about like what you have, whether it's like things, a huge schlong, a fire kitty, like that. I would say that those like, have similarities. So I'd say it's like, that's why I believe that dancehall most likely had the bigger influence on the creation of, like hip hop and rap music. And like, nowadays you start to see like reggae singers dance, I guess like, yeah, like reggae, like newer like reggae singers like Shensia. Yeah, it's like, how can I say this in like an American accent? Shensia.
I was gonna say, how does she say her name?
I was like, how do you say it in Shensia? Like Shensia. And she has a song with Megan Thee Stallion. And like dancehall music, especially like you probably most people are probably more so familiar with like the dancing, the type of clothing, and just like the overall like kind of like sexualized raunchiness of it. So it's kind of like not surprising that you have like dancehall singers with like making songs with rap artists like Megan Thee Stallion. So what else did I want to? Well, there's also Nicki Minaj, who is Trini, and like so I forgot where I was like kind of going with that, but like she made a really big comment to Michael B. Jordan when he was coming out with, I believe it was like a tequila or a rum called Juve, which is like, I want to say it's spelled J comma not comma apostrophe Ouvert, if I'm not mistaken, but it's pronounced Juve. And Juve is like a like a celebration, usually like I would say like in Trinidad, or just of course like now all part of the Caribbean. Don't quote me, I don't quite know where exactly Juve originated from, considering it sounds like a French word, so it may be Haiti, I don't know. But Juve is like usually part of like the Caribbean Carnival celebration, where it's like a fun dance party that's usually like in the daytime. It's almost like a day glow if you're familiar with like where they, I don't know if they throw like paint, but they get like messy and things like that. Part of Juve. Okay, because I was like, I want to go, and I would have loved to go this year, but it's like I can't make it because I'm going to like a wedding that day, and that's like the day I fly out. It's like, should I fly out and just have paint all over me and just get on the plane, or like should I?
Oh, Miami Carnival, you're talking about?
Yeah, because that's coming up.
It's like weekend. Yeah.
Right. So like I'm upset about, because I was actually looking forward to it this year. It's like, ooh, like my body's looking good. I
could have came down to, it's still in flux whether I'm going to come, but
yeah. So I guess I'll have to wait next year. But how these years are moving, then it's going to come in like 2 months. Again.
Yeah.
like oh, the carnival again. I never like, yeah, I don't think I've ever been to like Miami Carnival. So I want to celebrate. Like I've always wanted to like at least try the whole like like the wings and like the where like the barely anything there bathing suit and like but like it just looks gorgeous, like it looks absolutely just like it looks absolutely divine. It's not a party if it isn't messy.
Very
true.
And you are absolutely right, Toby. Capleton, that's his name. Thank you so much. I was like, what the hell is his name? I felt bad, but it's a dope song. I'm gonna share it in the Discord. But yeah, like where was I? Yeah, I was just like talking about I guess like how Caribbean culture and music has been influenced in like hip hop, and there was like this annoying divide that sometimes happens between like African Americans and Afro Caribbeans, who, because especially with the whole Nicki Minaj thing, because like she did not want Michael B. Jordan to name the rum Juve, and I kind of understand why, because it's like that's not what it is. But like, I don't know. I don't know. I whatever. It's there. Wings, glitter, banging body. Yeah, exactly.
All of the above
Exactly.
or the below.
Yeah, and it's this, like, and then the men are usually just dressed in like hoochie daddy shorts. It looks like a fun time.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, but yeah. So like, I'm trying to think. I don't quite know like how the bridge between like roots reggae and like the divide between roots reggae and dancehall kind of happened. Unfortunately, I didn't quite like read that or like really look into it. But along with like dancehall music is also like the clothing that we're all familiar with. Fortunately, like it's it's like you don't. I was going to people. Well, yeah, but I'm gonna be a person who people are gonna watch anyway.
Hey.
So, so it's fair. If y'all gonna watch me, I can watch y'all. um, but like the clothing for like if you're like clothing for like dance hall competitions, dance hall queen, it's usually like I don't even know how to describe it. Just like very like bright, very like how should I just I don't know how to describe it, but it's very sexual, it's very sensual. It's like it's like claiming like your own sexuality, your own beauty, your own power. Like people may like I'd say like more so like naive people will see it as just like, oh, it's just women looking like hoes, like what's his face Button said about
That's just
yeah, like it's like no, like just because you're attracted to these women, they're not doing that for you. Like, it's not like they're doing it for themselves because it's culture. It's something that's like fucking awesome. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean like. And it's like Google's free, guys. Like, like I've Googled like 3 things on the stream just now, because it's free. So,
Yes.
so, so yeah. So like, it's definitely like the clothing is definitely, especially for like the women, it's definitely like just like it's like a liberation of sorts. Some women do actually like dance hall like professionally in terms of like that's how they get their money. It's like in a way like a side gig, and like they go to like dance hall competitions, or I assume venues probably pay them to dance there. I don't know that, but like I feel like how this economy is going, like with the creator economy, the gig economy, I wouldn't be surprised if some dancers are recruited to dance at certain parties, that they're like paid to dance at certain parties, that would make sense. And if they're not getting paid to, if they're not paying them to dance at these parties, then they should, because damn it, people gotta fucking make money. So, but yeah, like if you guys have any more questions on reggae and dancehall, roots reggae, or just I don't know, the clothing, the styles, the y'all are getting paid.
I've been cosplaying and dancing for free.
Right. Some of them like if it's like a dance hall competition. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's like somewhat similar. That's it. I don't know. Like because I was like born here and in the United States, I can't like there's still a division of like, you know, my cultural knowledge, unfortunately, and like I should know more than I do, but I'm trying my best.
That's all that
Yeah,
matters.
yeah, no, like we are not experts, but I'm just trying my best. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, like let me know. Um, I'll try my best to answer them. But to lead this to Toby though, like of course reggae definitely has its origins through um you know, like the music of Africa, like because you know, spoiler alert, like Jamaican black Afro Jamaicans came to the island of Jamaica through the transatlantic slave trade.
Dang,
um
you just ruined that for me.
yeah, sorry to yeah, we didn't just like, you know, spawn, like respawn in Jamaica. Like,
Oh, I love it. I
what
love it.
what's funny, like I haven't really looked into this, but this is what like I've heard like from one of my Jamaican friends. I think he learned this when he was part of CSA, which is a Caribbean Student Association in at his university that he went to. He said that like apparently the really bad, mean, unruly slaves were dropped in the Caribbean, or like so, or like dropped in, I guess maybe even specifically Jamaica, if I'm not mistaken, but just dropped in the Caribbean, and like the nicer, more like tame slaves were dropped like more so in the U.S. So there's always
Um,
there's always like the stereotype of like the angry Jamaican, and like we're just like very angry people. And then
Mm,
there's simultaneously the stereotype of that we're very chill, laid back people, because so it's kind of weird. But
interesting. Yeah,
to
that's
to
interesting.
L's point,
yeah.
he's not far off. He's not far off because when I was doing I was in college doing U.S. history from like the early um, what is it 1600s up until like the 1850 range. What was said was the the sugarcane plantations that were pretty much down in Jamaica, down in the Caribbean, were a little bit more hostile than the sugarcane plantations up in the United States. And so, to to your friend's point, as far as punishment goes, quote unquote, what they did was the travelers. You right on time. You Rocky, you are right on time. Party
Right.
do not stop until you walk in, and it don't end until you leave. So you're not late. You're right on time. Boom.
Yes.
Anyways, anyways, going back. So as far as punishment goes, they would send the the unruly slaves down to the Caribbean islands, especially like the places like Jamaica, like what's the other one? Haiti.
Haiti, Dominican Republic, which is
Yeah,
they share the island, Haiti and Dominican Republic. I guess Puerto Rico, Cuba. Uh, there's so many. There's Barbuda, Barbados, Dominica, um,
yes,
Bahamas,
It's all the
yes,
saints.
Saint Kitts, and
Nevis, St. Vincent, St. Lucia,
yes.
yeah, Virgin Islands.
Virgin Islands, right?
Yeah,
Martinique. Well, maybe you're right about that.
And the reason why is because in those areas, all the areas that were just named, those areas were pretty much primed for making rum and other types of um, products that could have been shipped to anywhere else around the world. But at the same time, because dealing with the humidity naturally already found, and then also working in a factory where where they have to melt the canes down to make the sugar to turn it into this and that. It was too hot for most people who were of a lighter skin complexion to handle it. However, those folks from Africa who had darker skin complexion, they could handle it. They could tolerate the heat, they could tolerate the humidity, and even then, they worked twice as hard. They work twice as hard as their light skinned counterpart, i.e., the European counterparts. So
Right.
if you pretty much go down to any one of those islands, and you tend to find like more darker skinned complected people down there, don't think that they're traditionally black, but they are. They just have their roots from Africa, whose ancestors were part of that slave trade. And even in the Dominican Republic, I had people come up to me, speak fluent Spanish to me, like out of the yin yang. I'm like,
Absolutely.
oh,
Yeah.
like hold up, wait a minute, like lo siento, mi español de very pequeño, and they get that. They're like, oh, like you don't speak Spanish? You're like, no, no, not at all. Like my Spanish speaking is very small and limited compared that to a child. Like I can get by and say what I need, what I don't need, what I'm looking for. I can do that, but other than that, to hold a full-fledged conversation, it ain't happening. Not like that. It ain't. It ain't.
Right.
But it was cool though, because a lot of them. Because and again, when you look at them, you thinking, oh, they can speak English. No, not necessarily. English might be a little broken, a lot of broken, but at the same time, it's like they're real quick to speak Spanish, or even if it's not Spanish. A lot of times you can hear little traces of French being spoken down there as well. So it's like it
That makes sense.
really it really does depend. It really does depend, like where you go.
Right. No, it definitely does make sense that some of them speak French because, like, next door is Haiti and they speak French. Like, there's a lot of Haitians, speak Haitian French Creole and also
Mm-hmm.
Spanish as well. Um, that's not an uncommon thing. Like I remember like this one Haitian guy I dated. He would say that like his parents would speak Spanish in front of him because they knew he couldn't understand it. So, so it's like that's pretty fucking awesome, Like so, his parents just spoke three languages, Spanish, French, and English. I was like, that's awesome.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I don't usually hear
Yeah.
Spanish.
Yeah. No, it's like I don't know if it's like common, but it's not unheard of, like of a
Right.
Haitian person speaking Spanish or like
Right.
and it makes sense that a Dominican would know how to speak French because they do share the island. I know that they may act like they don't, but they do.
That's true. That's true.
Sure, folks only speak like it's English and Chinese. No. Ron's like, but you talking to the
I'm trying to know how to say neighborhood in Spanish. You came to the wrong barrio. That's how you say street. You came to the wrong barrio, mother effer. No,
But I do have a funny story about like kind of branching off of what you said, Ron, about when you went to the Dominican Republic. So many years ago, I used to work at Best Buy, and I don't know if I've told this story on the stream maybe before, but I'll recount it again. I live in South Florida, so of course, like we get Spanish-speaking customers all the time. I don't know much Spanish, but there's always people who spoke Spanish working. So, if somebody came over to speak Spanish, I would just like point them to the Spanish speaking people who looked clearly Spanish. And one day, this one lady comes in, just like rushes in, like speaks Spanish. She's very like typical Spanish looking, and or Spanish speaking looking, and she comes up to me like talking Spanish. I was like, oh no no no, I was like no hablo español. So I point her into like a direction of like where two of my coworkers were walking. One was like a tall Latino, like over 6 feet. The other was like a thin, like black chick who, like probably like my size or so, and like my height. And then she goes and runs to the black chick and starts speaking Spanish to her. And I was just like, okay, wherever she's from, black women speak Spanish. So like it was just interesting. Like, because like they were like walking together. It's not like she was coming first and the tall Latino was coming, and I know they're walking together talking. I was like, oh no, I'm like over here. She goes and speaks to the other black woman in Spanish.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, she's probably Dominican. So, like,
More than likely, yes. Oh, yes. More than likely, yes. Because even then, when we went down to the Dominican Republic, like there was people whose skin complexion was about as dark as Toby's, fluent Spanish coming out. I'm like, ooh, like bruh, like hold on, time out. We're gonna red card. Nah, not it. No, nope. We gonna have to either we're gonna have to talk English or I'm gonna have to step up my Spanish game a little bit because bruh, you done lost me after hola, señor, como estás. After that, everything else you said after that, nope, was like a bullet train. I did not catch. Nope.
Yeah, but I guess like because you lived in Michigan and Colorado, and I think California for a bit too. So this was like it's still uncommon for me to see like a black person who is like Colombian or like Dominican or like Puerto Rican or Cuban. Like definitely like there's like I think I've probably seen one or two like Afro Cubans on like Bumble. Like I don't think I've ever seen one in real life, honestly. So like,
Even where you're from, that's interesting.
well, yeah, South Florida. Like we have like a massive like Latin population from all over. Like so I've seen like black Dominicans, like darker than me, speaking Spanish. I've seen, like I've seen like it all pretty much, like Afro Brazilians. Not, I haven't seen too many, but I've seen a few. I'm actually like talking. I just kind of started talking to like this Afro Dominican, which is not uncommon. But
yeah, sorry, I thought like it was interesting that you haven't met Afro Cuban besides like two from Bumble, which not even like real life. But like I was just saying because the Cuban population is so heavy. I don't know if it's something with the history of Cuba where the Afros didn't come here as much versus
I think so.
the white ones didn't. But that was like very interesting. That wow, you haven't seen really any Afro Cubans. I don't even know if I've met Cuban people in my life, to be honest. But that was just my little.
Right. Maybe I have, and I just didn't know. Like I've met like black Panamanians. I've met do I like Bumble? Yeah. It has its ups and downs. But like yeah, no, I haven't met like I just saw them on Bumble. Like I don't even think I matched with them. Like I'm probably pretty sure I probably swiped right on them because I'm like, what? I have to know you. but yeah, there's a massive Cuban population down here. I feel like there had to be something with like, is it Fidel Castro or like I feel fucking terrible for not like why the Cubans had to like pretty much leave Cuba and they all came over to like Miami because it's like the closest. What was the Cuban Revolution? What?
Yeah, I feel
I
like
was,
it was the when communism was sort of instated around the
yes.
time when you had what's that big the missile crisis around that time where like Fidel Castro I believe was the dictator there. Yeah, maybe it was a revolution, but definitely was like a communist rule that got instated. I have no idea what Cuba was like before that. I don't know what the history
Okay.
is.
It was the Cuban Revolution. I was like, I feel like that's way too easy of a thing to say. Like,
I had no
I feel like I could just guess that. The Cuban Revolution? No, I guess it was. My bad. So yes, okay. So thank you, Chad. So it was the Cuban Revolution, and then a lot of Cubans fled to Miami, specifically, like Florida, South Florida, and beforehand it was an American installed figure. I did not know that.
It never works out very well, but I
Yeah,
guess we just don't learn. But it's fine.
yeah. Bay of Pigs.
Yeah, I remember that whole invasion, that failure. That's what led to the missile crisis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we attempted to, I think, assassinate their leader, and that didn't work very well. And so they were like, "Well, we have nukes. Let's point them at you." And yeah. Thankfully, humanity did not end, but
Right.
it
Yeah.
could have.
Yeah. No, that was. 'Cause I think that happened not that long ago. Honestly.
Yeah, it was freaking. What's his name was president?
Like was it
Kennedy.
like 92?
Oh, that was in the 70s, I believe.
Okay, then what
Because
was happening in 92? Something happened in 92.
or 60s probably. Kennedy was the president. Bobby Kennedy, Robert Kennedy was his brother, right? And he was the one who actually did the negotiations to talk down the Cubans to basically not blow up the world. And then shortly after that, he was assassinated. I can't say if it was exactly because of that, because the guy who assassinated was Turkish, so I don't know what the relation there is. But
So it's JFK?
Mm-hmm.
the guy who assassinated Bobby Kennedy. JFK's assassin was it Lee Harvey Oswald? I don't even know really who.
No,
Yeah, I think
Lee Harvey.
yeah,
Lee Harvey.
But Kennedy was assassinated with some God, it was some Turkish guy. But 60s, yeah, 60s JFK. The one thing I was gonna say was the Black Panamanian thing really like caught me off guard last year. Not last year, it was in 2020. I went to this event. I went to like the beach. My first time at the beach in COVID in England. So I went to the beach like in July of 2020. There was like a thing afterwards, not even really related to the beach thing, but a friend of mine invited me to it. So I went. And it was like I didn't know whose house it was, and the girl who invited me there, but like there was a friend of hers who like let me in, but he didn't live there either. He's West African, like American born, but I think West African. And then another friend of hers, like Ugandan, was there, but I had been that day, so I was like, I don't know who actually lives in this house. And the people who lived in the house, they looked black, they looked African, and they were speaking some language. Eventually, I was like, they're speaking Spanish. Because these people, when you look at their features, they could have looked very African, very Caribbean, something. But they were Panamanian, like Black Panamanian. It was interesting. Yeah, I hear that too. Let me. I just muted it and then stuff feedback.
Yeah, Ron, I think there's some feedback. Okay, he knows. All right, he's working on it. My bad.
I know you were going on a bit of a roll there, Aldo, so I don't want to steal your thunder too much. But I know that Panamanian thing was just so interesting, like black music around the world, but it's also interesting to see black people around the world.
Right. Oh, true. Like my great grandfather helped build the Panama Canal. Because like they would bring like workers from I guess like Jamaica and the Caribbean over to Panama. Apparently, I don't know if my great grandmother was Panamanian, but I just remember my dad saying she was like a black woman with green eyes. So it's like I have that color in my genes, I guess.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah. My great grandmother, who, I knew on my mom's side, who I knew before she died, she had like this like smoky gray blue eyes, and like people would call her like Smokey because of her eyes. So yeah, Like, I just thought like you just get that eye color when you get old, but I was like, oh, that was just her eyes this whole time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like when she passed away, I was just 7, so I just had really immature thoughts, of course. But like, it's like, oh wow. But yeah, what was I talking about? I guess like just like pretty much like, oh right, I wanted to bring it over to Toby though.
Yeah, that
Like,
was the thing at some point, definitely.
right,
Mhm.
because like reggae of course gets its influence of course from Africa. I would assume it would be West Africa because like that's where a lot of the transatlantic slave trade people came from, like Ghana, um, Benin, and some other countries too. I know that Ghana was like a big one. Um, so so yeah, like that, like definitely like that kind of music. It was a massive influence because they brought. Well, you're thinking cataracts. Very
I
nice.
was like,
No, like
sad.
she legit had that she legit had like that eye color though. So, and then maybe she also had cataracts too. Oh, because I thought it was an age. Yeah, yeah, true. Like I don't know. She was she was
It's
92. I don't know, but
Wow.
uh,
honestly.
yeah. So yeah, Toby, definitely go on with what you were saying. I apologize.
No, you're good. It's hard because I'm not as well versed as I should be too. So I'm relative to you, born here.
Yeah.
So it's like, and my parents, I mean, God bless, like, love them and everything. We didn't really get much of a secular upbringing, education. So I wasn't learning about like music and a lot of the culture of my tribe, which is Igbo, IGBO, or even like Nigeria at large. So there was a lot where I'm like, I had to kind of learn really on my own because I also didn't really grow up in a Nigerian community, and when it was very church based. Where again, I'm not learning secular history things, and didn't have as many age mates or people who were much younger than me.
Hey, Toby, sorry.
Yeah,
I feel like an idiot. So your tribe is pronounced Igbo? You don't pronounce the G?
no, yeah, the G silent.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Oh, have
Okay.
you seen that and you thought it was?
Igbo. Yeah.
I think like it can be subtle too. Like if you kind of say Igbo, 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 if you say it with the I, if the I sound that you say is like E, and you say the G, Igbo, Igbo,
Mhm.
it might kind of just slide by and you won't notice. But if you do say like a low I, like an igloo, igloo, you get the point. If you say like Igbo, then that's like, oh yeah, that's not. But if you
Okay.
say Igbo, like you honestly might get away with it. So I'm not even gonna fault you. Um, and some
Okay.
people don't even know the tribe. They know Yoruba. That's like the really big one. If you
Mhm.
know Nigerian artists, they're pretty much all Yoruba, like Davido, Wizkid, or at least their names, like Burna Boy. I don't think he's actually Yoruba apparently, but he very much speaks. His name is Yoruba. So a lot of the really popular African artists that like dominate the charts right now, who won Grammys, a lot of them are Yoruba. And so that's something that someone distinguished to me, where you see a lot of like Yoruba people in entertainment and like nightlife, a lot of Igbo people you might see in like real estate and like business. And there's just different source of money. Now that's not going to be 100% um, like always true to the needle or whatever, but it was an interesting thing that I learned. And so you kind of see a bit more of an international influence a lot of times with the Yoruba culture. But regardless, it's like I didn't quite learn like all the history and stuff. I had to kind of learn for myself different songs, and I was in college, so 2012. There was definitely, I mean, Afrobeats has been a thing, right? And it kind of
Mhm.
came by fusing. I guess there was a time where it was a bit more like you actually had like the real instruments, the drums. Drums are very big. Theta Flux, my friend Raymond from last week, he mentioned how like a lot of the techno and house music, the dance music, comes from African drums, and those drums were used into like in the more modern era to make these type of to make like really popular songs. I would say Fela. Oh god, this I should definitely know his name. I believe it's Fela Kuti. He was a really popular African artist. In like I want to say the 90s, maybe even the 80s. And so when you look at some older artists like Fela Kuti, you see kind of I don't know if I would say that's the birth of Afrobeats, but at least like you had a lot. He was. I mean, I'm looking up right now. It says he's literally the pioneer of Afrobeat. Afrobeat, not beats. Actually, this video that's very funny that I shared with Ron and L. It's like, what's the difference between Afrobeat and Afrobeats? It's like Afrobeat is this kind of music that combines pop and these other things and rhythm. Afrobeats is for the foolish goats who keep putting an S at the end because there's one beat. So, but Fela Kuti, whose name was very long name, but he was pretty political. He composed, he did different things, but essentially, you combine a lot of that West African traditional music with funk and jazz, which does end up in that category of dance music that Raymond was talking about. So that I guess kind of helped birth in like the 90s this idea of Afrobeat. And it was in a way a little more localized. Like you had the Africans in America who could like really be tight and bond over it, but it wasn't this mainstream thing where people are selling out stadiums. In fact, a lot of my friends have been kind of salty because they're like, I like when Afrobeat was our little secret. Now it's like this big thing, and the tickets are like ungodly prices. Like, why was Burna Boy selling tickets for hundreds of dollars? I mean, you could have gotten cheaper tickets on the $140 end, and that's still like up there. But and Rema, don't even get me started on why he was selling tickets for also like in the $100-$200 range. I was like, excuse me, sorry, but Rema's cool, but like, no, that's not acceptable. So the music has kind of blown up more recently, and there's been a lot of like, you know, collaborations with like other more mainstream artists across like pop, wherever. And Afrobeat is very diverse. It's not just like you have the fast paced, very dance music. Unfortunately, you can't play it because, you know, copyright. But then you have a bit more of the kind of smooth, slow, more poppy sounding music. Wiz could definitely pivoted to have more of a pop sound. Very kind of smooth jazz almost sound in some of his songs. He collabed with Skip Marley, right? I want to say he's a son, or at least some relative of Bob Marley. And you hear some of these songs and you're like, okay, this is very different from some of the hardcore, quote unquote, Afrobeat, where sometimes the music is really just a beat. You don't even have a lot of lyrics. And so I don't know. It's like interesting to see that evolution and kind of see how it's become more popularized and more mainstreamed. But if you do want to have a real difference between Afrobeat and dancehall, like I can't speak on all the sort of the history and how it came to the US because it didn't really have as much of a, I would say reggae definitely had the huge influence. Reggae, dancehall, you have those old songs, and that's been kind of ingrained in a lot of US communities. I'm not sure if old school Afrobeat was in that same way, where like people know Beanie Man, Elephant Man, they might know of I'm trying to think of some other big artists that
Sean Paul.
Yeah, but Sean Paul, I feel like it was a lot more. Yeah, he's a little older, but he also did a very international kind of mainstream thing. Like there were some other artists where they, I don't know, they like you think of them and they're very Jamaican, they're very Trini, very whatever.
Like Buju Banton.
Yeah, he's a big one. And sadly, I didn't even know who he was until he came out with Blessed. I've probably heard of some of his music. Actually, like like the one that's like body bum, body body bum bum. I don't know, you know that song, boom boom, whatever. I've heard that song a lot, but I never knew who sang it or what the name even was. Chi Chi Man was another big one where I've heard it and I could not tell you the name for a long time. So there was a lot of songs that like have such a chokehold in a way, like a foothold in U.S. culture, especially if you're in certain areas like New York, right? Or these places. But then I feel like with Afrobeat, you're not really hearing that same kind of connection. So I think there was a bit bigger of a divide. It's interesting how you said there was a big divide between Caribbeans and the Black Americans. And in some ways, I actually thought that there was more similarity there. And the bigger divide was between Africans and Black Americans. And I'm not even going to get into that in this stream because I don't have all the kind of
right. And you're probably right for sure. I guess it was just more so like there was like that annoying ass moment with the whole like Juve rum name thing, and then like you know like there was just but like what? But I don't know. Like there's a lot more Caribbean folks than like in entertainment. So like it was just like amusing because I remember I watched like this one thing by like Amanda Seales because she's Grenadian. Like her mom is from Grenada, which is another island in Jamaica we did not mention. I mean, not in Jamaica, in the Caribbean that we did not mention. And like she just like pretty much like said like, yeah, all these rappers, all these hip hop artists have like Caribbean roots, and it was just like, yo, I didn't know that, and like there were like also like revolutionaries and things have like Caribbean roots. You know, like Malcolm X was Grenadian as well.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yo, what's really sorry.
Oh no, go on.
What's so interesting about that? Because I used to make it. Well, I've been trying to find a way how to put it into a video. It low key, it might be a little bit triggering and offensive, but I wanted to say like how like I was so like triggered or annoyed by Caribbean, particularly Caribbean Americans, because y'all just be like hiding in plain sight, and we have no idea that you're Caribbean until you just happen to like either you meet someone's parents and then you can tell, but that's not always obvious either because sometimes even they don't have the accent. So then it's like you just have to drop it one time, like, oh yeah, I'm from here, or I see you at Carnival. Then I'm like, oh okay, now I see you with your flag, you know, on your waist and everything. Okay, or the headband, right? You make the headband out of a flag. I'm like, okay, y'all need to like carry that around all the time because I'm tired of finding out like 10 years after meeting someone I'm friends with you that, oh, you're actually Caribbean. I'm like, wow, you're actually like children of proud immigrants. And there's nothing wrong with being Black American, but there's a special connection where it's just like, oh, you're also like, I get it. Like you're also kind of grew up in this immigrant household and you're a Black immigrant, which is just so interesting, whether you're Black Panamanian or Caribbean American. And so I was like, y'all just need to like, what did I say? I was like, I have to remember because I had to like make a whole skit out of it. But I would always kind of be like, I wish, like I do. Not that I really should change anything, but it was just like it just blows my mind every time when I find out someone is Caribbean American. But anyway, like with Africans, it's harder because one, I think the immigration from Africa to the U.S., obviously outside of slavery, but more so in the 1900s was closer to 2000. So a lot of us are young like me, where we're the first generation. Maybe you have some that came in the 80s and the 70s, but a lot of Africans I don't think really came like that versus Caribbeans, where you do have a lot more Caribbeans who could have came and become like generationally Black American, if that makes sense. So a lot of Africans, it's just like, you know, you can tell by your name, you know, for the most part, or you can tell by, you know, we're immigrants ourselves or our families. But any case, so I mean, in terms of like Afrobeat and dancehall, if you're gonna say a difference, a lot of times, you know, Afrobeats is diverse, but there's a lot of times the way that the music is very upbeat and it can be like a lot more legwork. You know, this kind of goes more to the dancing aspect of it, but there can be a lot more legwork. But there is a lot of similarity where you have like the waist movement, you know, like the idea of whining. I feel like that, of course, is huge in dancehall and a lot of Caribbean culture, but it shows up to a lot of African culture, and that's kind of a segue I wanted to make because there's a lot of like this music that came out of Africa, like I feel like it's so shared across Africa and the Caribbean, like Zouk or Zoo, Zouk, like a very kind of close dancing partner music, which is similar to compa, which is a Haitian, very popular Haitian American or Haitian dance and song genre. And then what's the other big one? Kizomba, which I thought was Latin at first, but it turns out is actually African. I found out that years ago, but when I heard Kizomba, it was in the context of bachata, salsa. But Kizomba comes from Angola, which is in Southwest Africa, I think. So Kizomba is actually African music. But like there's similarity to Zouk, or again, I don't know how to pronounce exactly, similarity to compa. And so it's like a lot of this music kind of, you know, evolved and helped transform each other. And so that's not, I would definitely wouldn't say that that's like Afrobeat really, but like at the same time, you could maybe say that because it is a very broad genre, but it's interesting that like some contemporary music came from some of those older African beats. And then even certain dancing, because you can't talk about music without really talking about dance as much. You have like this is kind of a funny thing to bring up, but like when it comes to twerking, even I had to look this up because of Wikipedia. Like I'm like, oh my god, there's really a Wikipedia page on twerking. But this was like years ago when I like kind of like stumbled upon this, where it was like you had this certain oh god, if I can remember the name of it, but there was like
You just stumbled upon twerking.
I just found one that's, oh my god, what's this happening?
You went.
And then I looked it up. I googled it, and then I clicked into Wikipedia. I was in the middle of a party, and I was just Wikipedia and twerking. No, I don't remember what happened when I first found this, but it was just very interesting that like there was a certain like dance that was like traditionally already in Africa, like where people are just moving their body and their waist and their for research, and that is its own thing. Like there's there was already a thing that kind of got turned into something else, and that's fine. Like that's kind of always been the strength of Black American music and dance, is to like take things and like almost kind of make your own unique spin on it. Like obviously hip hop is a big thing there with like the sampling and all that. So I feel like with twerking, it kind of was a twist and jerk, or I don't know. And so some of those movements were already natural, like the waist movements and the hips. Sometimes you talk about like African aunties at a party, they don't do much but like move their hip, maybe bend over, not even because they're trying to be sexual, but it's just like this kind of movement. And sometimes you get parodied in like YouTube videos or anything. But I'm like, yo, people were doing this stuff without like trying to be like, viral, or without it trying to be like twerking competition or anything. And I'm not like degrading it, but it's just interesting that like certain things you just kind of see. And if I can find this video, I will definitely share it. But it was a video of kind of like these white people on, I don't know if it was radio or TV, but it was people, I don't know if they were British or if they were American. May have been British because of the colonial aspect of it. But they were basically degrading how like certain movements and like scantily clad these African women were doing. And so the video basically was like videos of some of these people, with these women dancing or doing whatever, wearing whatever. And it was overlaid with that, like those guys basically saying what they're saying about degrading them, to have that juxtaposition of like, oh, like we don't care. We actually don't care what you guys are saying. And it sounded like old. Like when I'm saying like radio or TV, it had to have been like 50s, 60s, 70s, because I think some of the videos were in black and white too. So it could have even been in the 40s. But it's just interesting because again, there was no real word. It wasn't called twerking. It wasn't called whatever. But people were dancing in a certain way to these styles of music that might have been seen as more sexual or whatever, but they were just doing them, and they were of course wearing little clothing because you're in freaking Africa, and like it's hot, and like it's just more minimalist in a lot of ways. And so I wish I could find that, because I shared that on the Instagram some years ago. So I would have to really look through my archive and just hope to stumble upon it. But I thought it was a really powerful video just because it was like just like a few minutes, and it was just literally videos of them dancing, traditional people, and then the backlash, or like the kind of the criticism of how they're so whatever. And it's like, yeah, you're gonna you're gonna celebrate it with your voice as like an overlay to say that you kind of don't matter. The white gaze, right? That's the term that sometimes it gets used in these settings, whether it's civil rights protests, but also you could use it in this case where it's like you're really worried about what are the white people saying, what's their opinion, what's their standard, and are we using that to make decisions? Or are you kind of coming up with your own set of standards that are still, morality based, but without it having to be, oh, the white people are going to judge us for this, so therefore, whatever.
Speaking of like the whole white gaze, and this is just kind of a slightly random tangent.
Sorry,
it sounds like you're like legit in an airplane.
It does actually.
Hey, we flying in some kind of class. I don't know what it is, but hey, let's go. Go ahead, El. I want to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, so like a random fun fact that I learned recently. I mean, it's not fun; it's kind of sad. Apparently, like I don't know, back in like the 19 20s or like sometime before World War II, like Japanese women, if they're like out in like the fields or like like in like the more rural areas, they'd be carrying shit. It'd be hot, and like it wasn't uncommon to see like like a woman just kind of take her breast out of her shirt just to help cool off. So like that was that was normal. Or like I saw this on Reddit, and like there was like actually like a picture of a Japanese woman, just like doing that, minding her business, just going on about her day. And it wasn't until American soldiers that were stationed in Japan and they started to really like ogle and kind of like sexualize breasts, that's why like I guess the Japanese women I guess like had to cover up, so to speak, because of that. And like it's sort of like it's sort of sad because like it's like, and of course like we're all guilty of this when it comes to like sort of judging other cultures. It's like, what, how dare they, like those people in this like town in Africa, they're all just naked running around, and it's like, well, yeah, that is incredibly hot, and they're probably they probably don't sexualize breasts or penises or anything, like imagine just like living like that, where you could just literally do that and like nobody cares. Like now it's called like, of course, like like here in the States it'd be like a nudist colony, and it's like, whoa, this is like crazy. But like considering how the sun has been lately, it's like, yo, I don't blame people for if they wanted to just be running around like in bathing suits or like whatever, because it's like it is really fucking hot. And imagine having to just be outside all day or like working all day outside. Like, yeah, it's going to be hot. And yeah, just a random like just thought and tangent. Also, another thing about like the whole like waist movement thing, which is another thing about the white gaze. Elvis, like recordings of Elvis had to be shot from like the chest up because they thought like how he would shake his hips was like way too sexual for women, I guess. So there you would see videos of Elvis like just waist up. It's like, wow.
Yeah, I remember the whole thing about the waist up. It's like, wow, that's quite a society, societal standard. This is so interesting. I was definitely talking. Oh, I was talking with some friends just over the weekend when we were at the end of that parking lot party. It was the three of us left, and my one friend who's Nigerian, I just met him actually that day. My other friend who I've known for years, and he's I think from Barbados and Haiti, but born in Boston. So he's like the organizer of the Boston Black Professionals. So I've known him for some years. But we're talking about the whole Africa, China influence in Africa, and this is really relevant to what you're saying. Okay, and that's another conversation that we should definitely have. But like the way that kind of like new age colonialism is happening in a way because China is just giving crazy loans to a lot of countries that clearly are never going to be paid back, or at least not reasonably. And so they're going to like own these African countries' infrastructure. I think Nigeria, they were trying to build some around, and I'm mixed
They
on
do that
it.
in Jamaica too.
Yeah, and I didn't know that until my friend Ronnie brought it up. He was like, "Yeah, they're actually doing this in the Caribbean." I was like, "Whoa, I didn't know that." So it's like, okay, this is kind of crazy, but all right. And so they were saying, I remember they were talking about Zimbabwe. I mentioned Zimbabwe because sadly the currency hyperinflated to some crazy amount. And so, Rwanda, I have heard how it is probably the fastest growing economy in Africa. They actually developed, I don't know if I posted this in the chat, but I remember when I saw the news about it some months ago, they created this AI institute. They're like the first African nation to create this sort of AI research institute or research something. Like I think it was even novel kind of worldwide for the way that they were doing it, but they definitely were the first in Africa. And so I feel like Rwanda is like, it's really good because sadly a lot of times you hear Rwanda and you think about the genocide, you think whatever, but like they actually have come a very long way. From what I can tell, doing very well for themselves. They have like the most innovation. I think like they have biotech industry exploding. Finance is a big one. What's the word? Fintech, I think, is pretty big. Like there's a lot. So I'm actually really happy to hear about Rwanda. My brothers and sisters in East Africa doing their thing.
I heard that Botswana is also like doing pretty well too. I heard that like a couple of years ago because of like kind of where it's located in like the southern part of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I think it's like just north of like South Africa and like but it's like in the center of like a bunch of other countries. So it's like so it's like it's at a really good location in terms of connecting to like different parts of like this whole southern part of Africa. But I don't know. I haven't heard much since, but I have heard recently about Rwanda and like that AI institute. Yeah. I always feel like when it comes to like news in Africa, like sometimes like it'd be like some badass things and then it'll just be like mentioned once and then you just never hear about it much. And it's like, I think we should be paying attention to this. Like this seems like I really do feel that like, and I'm happy. Like I feel like Africa is just gonna like massively explode and then people are gonna act all shocked. It's like, well, it was in the news. Like,
Yeah.
like I even hear like Ethiopia is doing pretty well too.
Mm.
Like I've been hearing like I heard that like I can't remember, maybe like a year or so ago. Like it was kind of recent. It might be the China like now I think it might be the China global expansion.
Yeah, I think we were talking about how there was a country that I guess like refused to let them in. And I feel like Ethiopia would have to be that country because they were the only country in Africa really to be independent. And I'm gonna be fully transparent that I'm ignorant on how they pulled that off, but they didn't get colonized the way the rest of Africa did with imperialism. So Ethiopia had their independence. And I imagine they also would have been like China, get the heck out, like don't come in and give us whatever. But I have to kind of fact check if that's true. The governments, yeah, that's the thing. Is like, yeah, I mean, yes, but I guess it's like you want to start somewhere with that too. Like you want to, especially like there does seem to be quite a lot of innovation. They're keeping up with kind of the developments in other parts of the world, and so yeah, you need the basics of infrastructure for sure. But then also like I guess they're trying to like jump ahead and be like, this is also a big thing that we want to maybe also bring in resources too. I have to look more into it to be honest, and how it's actually affecting the kind of the citizens on the ground, like who's benefiting from this kind of research. I mean, it's a valid point though. Don't get me wrong, but I was happy to hear it personally. But yeah, hopefully you're not like investing your whole government's resources at the expense of like feeding your people. That would not be good. But I don't know if that's exactly what's going on. Yeah, I've heard about India is also trying to do something because the whole route with what China was doing. I think they went to Pakistan, which is that's terrible because obviously, Pakistan and India, no, not friends. Like really bad. Maybe it's obvious, but it's yeah. There's multiple wars that have happened because of this. So the fact that China would like go to Pakistan, I think Afghanistan, they were also trying to like put their little holes to create the Iron Belt or the Belt and Roads Initiative. Forget what it's called, but it's like, all right, y'all just have no chill because you're really trying to like create this whole entire route. Like when you look at it, you're literally going across the Indian Ocean and then down to the land. I mean, it's crazy like how far they're going, and that's why I didn't even realize what they're getting into the Caribbean. That's right here. Like that is literally right there. That's really close to where we are. And so I don't know exactly what they're up to, but you know. And I've heard mixed things about this because a friend of mine, he's much more of a revolutionary. He was a pretty big. I met him when I first moved to Boston because he was like a black guy in tech. So I met him in this like Black Tech Boston meetup. Like my first week, I moved to Boston actually. So he was a cool guy. He hosted kickbacks, and one time when I went to one of his kickbacks, he was just talking about like China. At one point, he was talking about China and like he has a much more favorable opinion of certain like revolutionary and even communist, I would say, things. And so he was saying how like China actually did a lot better in terms of how they're coming into Africa versus the Europeans. And sure, no one's gonna deny that like they're not doing what the Europeans did 100 years ago. But at the same time, or it was over 100 years ago, honestly. But like at the same time, you know, they could do some really like serious economic damage or bondage, essentially. But the way my friend described it was like they actually have had a lot more like listening to the people. Now, management level, it's not super great for the projects that are being built, the rail and all the infrastructure. In terms of diversity, a lot of them are the Chinese. But I think on the lower level, there is a pretty decent amount, I guess, of like actual Africans who are building. And so I don't know. I have to do more research into it. I've seen articles. I've mentioned it before. I know it's a thing, but I couldn't tell you a lot of the mechanics on what's happening and the difference between different countries, like what kind of foothold China has. But it is interesting because I know China, I think Zimbabwe adopted the yuan. I have to look at that again because I don't want to like misrepresent. I have some pretty good friends of mine from Zimbabwe that I've met up here in Massachusetts. And like, I don't know, but I thought at one point they adopted the yuan as their national currency. And so you definitely can have a Chinese influence, but I also wonder how much gets influenced back. Like, are you going to start seeing Chinese people cooking African food, listening to African music, having like the dance? Like that would be actually really interesting if there was like an exchange where now all of a sudden you kind of see a mix between like these types of music. And I'll be honest. I'll be honest about my ignorance with Chinese music. Like a lot of the countries you hear about, obviously with Korea, with Japan, but with China, I don't really know what modern Chinese music sounds like. But hey, maybe they'll learn a thing or two from these countries. I mean, China already has a pretty big imprint on these countries anyway. Like, there's a lot of Chinese, Jamaicans, Chinese. There's like a really famous singer apparently who was on The Voice. No, not The Voice. It was some big show in the U.S. Maybe it was The Voice, but there was some Chinese, I think, Jamaican singer. There's a Chinese Trinidadian singer. I know a lot of Chinese Trinidadians and India, Trinidad. So there's a pretty big connection. So anyway, kind of going on, but that culture exchange already has come where like you had a lot of integration, but I'm not sure how much was going back to China. Not much better. Yeah.
Necklace of diamonds to compete against China's string of pearls. It's kind of interesting.
Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, the Western alternative, I don't know. I remember when it came to politics, like, I mean, different people said different things. I remember Yang gave his perspective, and I mean, he's Taiwanese, so he definitely could relate to China, and like their sort of influence, especially on the negative side of it. So it was like China. This is more of a climate change thing, but you have China is going to come with these coal-fired plants, going to help build them in African countries. So the U.S. and other Western countries should go instead and offer them clean power, and have partnership also with like the actual innovation and entrepreneurship happening there. Because one big observation that I saw, this was an answer that Yang had for like this Foreign Affairs Council, some group that asked candidates all the same questions, and Yang was saying how like landlines never really took hold in this continent just because of infrastructure, but now mobile devices have blown up in a crazy exponential rate. You have WhatsApp super popular, and I know you know Al, but also Ron, you might have seen with WhatsApp being very popular among immigrant communities. Share a screen to see how this layout is. Are you seeing that same pop up that I'm seeing?
Yeah, it just randomly popped up.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Right, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for the tip, StreamYard.
But and I'll wrap up on my point, at least that like actually I lost my train of thought for a second. Got foiled.
The pop-up tip. Yeah. for those of you watching, like StreamYard decided to notify us. Like we all got the same notification saying like, "Hey, you can share your screen." Pro tip. I'm like, okay. You're telling me this at like 11:30 at night?
Yeah.
We're like 2 hours into the stream. You're gonna tell us this now?
Right.
It's like new tip just dropped. Don't touch anything to right.
God dang it, I'll never live this one.
That was still just like hilarious though. It was just
There
I was
will
like,
be
wait, what?
consequences.
Huh? Like what? How did it end?
All I'm gonna say is that the computer is such a much better
Right.
stream. Like I feel comfortable here. My mouse is so far away from the end broadcast button. And I know if I click it, it'll give me the. Oh, I'm not gonna do it now, but it'll give you the option to like confirm. But yeah, there's this AI center to boost technological innovation. I'm trying to look up more about it, but I was gonna put this in the chat. Not the chat, but the Discord. Oh yeah, I think I was talking about how what Yang had said, and just in general about how like landlines were not a thing on the continent. WhatsApp is huge. Cell phones have become a thing. I mean, ExxonMobil is a pretty popular brand. I want to say like within Nigeria, especially. And so, you can jump across certain barriers that maybe weren't so easy, but like you can take advantage of the internet, you can take advantage of some other things. And so there is a lot of innovation and entrepreneurship, and ideally you would partner and not exploit the African countries, but show that you're a better alternative to China. Computers are checking in with you, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. It was like, what? Like, did I ask for like a hint?
Well, it has been a while since we've been sponsored by Hint, so
That's true. Or we've sponsored Hint. Well, we've never been sponsored by Hint. Hint's never reached out to us.
That's never a thing yet.
Yeah, I guess like they're trying to make friends essentially, and show that they're helping. Like it's pretty ingenious when you think about it. I mean, for one, they are like a ginormous homogenous country. There's over 1 billion people. They are communist, but with like a capitalist mindset, like a capitalist goal, I should say. Heavy China watcher. So if you have like a communist like mindset with a capitalist goal, so like everyone's communist, so like they're all pointing to one direction. So they have like these massive companies like Tencent. I don't think Alibaba. Like they have they have like some really huge massive tech companies.
Yeah, Alibaba, Tencent. There's a few other ones. There's a big one, ED something. I own some of these stuff and questionable decisions, but I had some exposure, and yeah, they have really big.
And like because it's the country is communist, like I think everyone has a cell phone. Everyone is given a cell phone. And the cell phone is pretty much used for everything. They have like the whole like facial monitor tracking. Like you pay with the cell phone, you get into places with a cell phone. Like everybody has a cell phone. So like in a way, like everybody has like access to pretty much the same things. Their internet is heavily regulated.
Mm-hmm.
Their apps are heavily regulated. And it's propaganda on that everyone has an okay. I figured like that's true.
Idea. Wait. Oh, interesting.
There. Okay, my bad. My bad. So not everybody has an ID. I guess
Yeah.
that would have been hard for like a billion people to have a cell phone. Now that I think about it. Well, not really. There's more than a billion people on the planet who have cell phones. They're half in the third world. What do you mean?
Maybe like half the population is like kind of this big, like advanced, like kind of what you
Oh,
or Shanghai. Maybe the other half is more like stuck in poverty. I'm assuming that's
that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. It's sad. Like that. Like I mean, it would have been kind of ideal, or not ideal, but interesting if like every single person was like taken account for. But of course not. So I guess it's like my bad for incorrectness. But I do know that like a lot of the population is pretty much like given a cell phone, if I'm not mistaken, and or not maybe not given, but a large majority of them have a large percentage of them have a cell phone, and the cell phone is used for pretty much everything. And they just create like these massive companies, and I guess like just generate a lot of revenue. Like if you notice, like a lot of like we buy a lot of things from like China made things, but like that's kind of like the extent of the trading. Like they don't really buy anything from us. They don't like we get things from them, but they don't really want anything that we have. Once again, if I'm not mistaken, Chad, definitely correct me if I'm wrong. And so they're sort of like in a way just getting money because of the kind of the one-way trade. Also, they have, as we've seen during the pandemic, they have a stock hold of everything, like supplies and tools and everything.
yeah.
So like it was a shit show. And if you were like me, who watched that episode of Explained like a couple of months before the pandemic even like arose, they literally spoke. There was an episode. Are you familiar with the show on Netflix, Explained? Like it's like a docu series. Each episode is like a different topic.
I think I may vaguely have heard of it, but I've not.
Oh, it's great. If you have Netflix, definitely watch Explained. They also have like side series called like The Mind Explained, and they have like Sex Explained. They have like other things. I think they even had like Pandemic Explained, but that was because of the COVID pandemic. But in the original, just like Explained, they had an episode that came out just like a couple of months before the actual COVID pandemic about pandemics and just like how we would be fucked if a pandemic were to arise.
Oh yeah, okay. I've heard that in general, but that was on an episode of Explained where they also talked about that.
Yeah, that if a pandemic were to arise, we would be fucked. And they were spot on with everything. Like they were like, yeah, everything's in China, and we need we need this, this, and that. We're not doing this. This is occurring. This is really bad because of will most likely be a zoonotic disease because of like the expansion of people moving into places where it's like like or like destroying of habitats of animals. So it's going to be a zoonotic disease. Blah blah blah, and like that was all fucking true. Like when COVID-19 happened, I was like, I remember watching it before the pandemic was like a thing, like anywhere. I was just like, wow, we would be so fucked. That's crazy. And then the pandemic fucking happened. Anyway, but because China is starting to move like more capitalist, like, and they have like, for a lack of a better term, and I apologize for anyone who I might offend. Like they're a very like well-oiled machine of a people. I remember even I mean, I'm not saying like this is like an Asian stereotype, but even when I was like in Japan, like I feel like Japanese culture is just like a well-oiled machine of people, and like they're a capitalist country, like it's it's just like, but like I would assume like in China it's like that times like 100,000, and it's just like they are state capitalists. What does that mean?
Yeah.
So like
because communist is like such a theory thing that doesn't really exist in real life. Because with communism, there is no state, there is no country, which of course can't really happen the way things are unless you're creating more of like a global, like a stateless society that owns things more decentralized. But like essentially, the state, the country, produces everything, right? Owns the means. I mean, that's like socialism, right? Where you own the means of production. But in this case, like they just do everything. It's the command economy, right? Where they produce everything. They have money to subsidize anything. They're control of everything. It's weird because I mean, there are businesses, including on the New York Stock Exchange, like Alibaba, like Tencent, like these others. So I don't fully understand how that really works in terms of how these private companies exist. But then you also have the state economy. Um, there's a lot that I'm kind of like I still need to like learn more about, or like I feel like I learn it, but it doesn't retain. But if you offend the state, Xi Jinping, high level party members, your business belongs to China. Okay, so you actually can get it just like revoked, or essentially they'll just like take state ownership of that sector. That's interesting.
Mm.
But yeah, I guess if your business is online and you sing the praises of the Chinese Communist Party or whatever, then you're good to go.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this would definitely be like a great episode, like topic for like another episode, though. I don't know like what topic that would fall into, but this is something that we definitely should talk about more because this is incredibly interesting. But unfortunately, it is almost midnight, and we got to sign off because we got work tomorrow. We got bills to pay. Maybe not tomorrow. At least I hope I don't.
Got a few days.
Yeah. But as always, y'all, you guys are amazing. I love that, you guys keep the topics and the conversation flowing. And, of course, without y'all, there would be no us. With that said, we do have to sign off. We love y'all. We'll definitely chat in the Discord, and we will see y'all next week.
Yes.
Good night.
Much love to
Much
you.
love. Yes.
Always.
Bye.
Bye bye.